Play a fun.
Yo, family, what's going on, man? It's your boy Flint Pundy set. I know that's correct, and you're just gonna feed. Don't forget, family. Look, I about to do this video because if I don't do it now, I know that it can take forever to do this video. So, yeah, peoples. So basically, I just want to give you guys a new rider's perspective on the first ride, how that went. If you guys saw the video of my first ride from the dealership, it was decent. It was pretty decent for first ride. So I can just talk about the experience and what I was thinking, kind of what I was feeling, whatever else I can remember happened on that day. So went in, did everything I had to do, paperwork, all of that stuff, and fast forward me on the bike. So started putting on my gear. I had my backpack with me because I actually had to take the bus to the dealership. Obviously, they had anybody to take me there, to drop me there or anything. So took the bus to the dealership. Couldn't remember the last day I actually took the bus, to be honest. It's been a minute, a couple of months. But anyways, so fast forward we on the bike. And I got on the bike, felt the weight of the bike for the first time. I did my safety training course. I could talk about that in another video, talk about how that went, kind of what you can expect from one of those courses. But yeah, I already did my course, but I had done it the previous year because I did it pretty late in the year and I wasn't able to get the bike the same year. So basically, I'm on the bike fresh from, I guess, approximately 10 months ago. So get on the bike, been watching those videos on YouTube and stuff because that's a smart thing to do. If you going to get a new bike, and especially if you're in my situation where your safety course was late and you weren't able to purchase your bike, or you weren't able to purchase your bike for a couple of years or whatever, but your safety course and licensing and all that is still valid, then I suggest watching a bunch of YouTube videos, getting familiar with it. If you already drive a manual vehicle, that helps because basically you already got an idea of how clutch's supposed to work and all that, and how gear is supposed to work. But because it's different controls and stuff on the bike, same names for the controls, but obviously your hands are doing clutch now, not your foot, and foot is doing braking, that kind of stuff. You're going to need the videos to at least get you in the right frame of mind for riding. Watch as many as you can. I would suggest that video, Twist of the Wrist. That's a pretty good video. While it's not dedicated so much to traffic riding, has a lot of principles in there in terms of throttle control and being smooth on the bike and all that kind of stuff that would help you. So at least when you go to ride after such a long break, you got a good idea of what to expect and what's going on. So yeah, we on the bike, parking lot layout such a way that I could make stops, make left turns, make right turns. It's actually about 3 parking lots that are next to each other. So I was able to get in early on the day. So that's another thing I would suggest or recommend, to get in early on the day, as soon as the store opens up, so that you got a free parking lot. So I went on the weekend, which was good. That means that most of the businesses were closed and I was able to use a healthy free parking lot to practice on. So yeah, I'm in the parking lot and I practice my stops, practice my clutch release, practice using the turn signal. If you watch the video, you'll realize that using the turn signals is a little bit different from in the car. So when you put on the turn signals, you have to manually turn it off. Takes a little bit getting used to because at first you got to keep it in your head. So if you watch that video, you'll realize that I left my signal on a lot in practice. So I didn't pay a lot of attention to that, but when you get on the road, you definitely want to pay attention to that for sure. So got to practice my signaling, my turning, clutch release, clutch control to some extent. Throttle smoothness was one of those things that was giving me a little bit of trouble, and I think it's because of the gloves. Now, I didn't realize that the gloves needed breaking in. You actually need to break in your gloves, because if you don't, it's going to feel like really stiff, and your mobility, your fingers and all that is not going to be the best. So breaking the gloves at least before, so you could put them on and just do, I guess, fists with it. Multiple fists, make multiple fists, and then open your hand all the way, multiple fists. Then try moving each finger and what's not, just to get the gloves broken in and get that leather or whatever material your gloves are made of stretched a little bit, and get yourself comfortable wearing the gloves. Because when you go to put your hand on the throttle or the handlebars or anything, or try to reach for any of the controls, it's going to feel absolutely weird. You're going to feel like you need to learn how to use hands all over again. So that's one of the experiences I had. It was really weird trying to reach the indicator switch. And obviously, like I said, having to remember to turn it off as well was another added thing. So if you actually watch when it was about to go home, this is like probably around 20 to 30 minutes in to the video. When I'm about to leave the dealership car park to go home, you can still see me bucking and stuff. And then when I actually got on the road, it was a new world. But I don't want to get to that too quick. Let me go back to the parking lot where I was practicing stuff. So yeah, practice the indicator, the clutch, throttle control. Had some bucking moments where, you know, in first gear, if you like open up the throttle a little bit and then you release, the engine braking on that is going to be extremely reactive. So when you feel that the engine brake kicks in so heavy, and then you try to put your hand back on the throttle, and then it doesn't feel right because the gloves feel weird, and then you release it again, like you're gonna get that bucking motion. So getting a solid hand on the throttle, a nice comfortable grip, obviously not too tight that you can't really use your hands like you're supposed to. You get accustomed to it, you know, like just opening the throttle and maintaining it. If the car part is not smooth, like super smooth, and you got some bumps to deal with, that's actually good, because as you're riding and you're going over bumps and stuff, your hand could move, and you can cause the throttle to be on and off as well if your hand moves with the bike. So yeah, those are all good things to, I guess, notice if you're practicing, because those are the things that actually happened to me, and that I found practicing for a good 30 minutes was actually very useful. The other thing that's weird is getting accustomed to your boots and getting accustomed to shifting and braking, getting familiar with what those things feel like while wearing your boots. I get why people don't like to wear gear, but honestly, it's not advisable to not wear gear. So I would advise people to wear gear as much as possible. Don't shirk it, because the goal is to get home unscathed, and in any case of an incident or anything like that, you don't want to got multiple burnouts and stuff. So wear your gear. Like, if you ever fallen off a bicycle going at 5 kilometers, going at 0 or whatever, you know you could get some pretty good burnouts. So imagine what you would get if you want to bike. Yeah, so to pass that, so yeah, getting familiar with how everything feel was one of the big things, and I learned a lot. I could actually tell you some of the things that you should make sure you're like super comfortable with. Like, make sure you're comfortable with the throttle feel. Make sure you're comfortable with clutch release, because that's going to be important, especially in traffic situations when you got to approach a light and you got to move off and stuff like that. Get familiar with that. Thankfully, I didn't install the bike because I've been watching so much videos, and I also drive a manual vehicle, so I already know what a clutch supposed to, well, I should say I already know what a manual transmission supposed to feel like and how it's supposed to work. So I already got a good understanding. I was able to just apply the understanding to the thing, and then the feel came afterwards. So yeah, I would say practice. Practice stops as well. Practice gearing up, so shifting up and shifting down while coming to a stop. I would say don't focus too much on shifting down when you're coming to a stop, especially like if you're in third gear or fourth gear or anything like that. The bike that I'm riding, you could actually come to a complete stop in like fourth gear. Like you could probably stretch it to fifth too and then just gear all the way down afterwards. But if you're doing that, you gotta start braking early. Because you're not gonna have a lot of engine braking on your hand. Probably none, because it's not that much. So yeah, practice smooth throttle roll on, smooth throttle roll off. That's gonna stop you from bucking and feeling weird on a motorcycle. Also gonna give you a smooth ride, obviously. And yeah, I already said get familiar with the controls, feel comfortable using the controls. One of the big ones that you're going to use is the indicators. So turning left, turning right, practice both of them and practice turning them off, being mindful of that. Get comfortable with that because you don't want to confuse traffic behind you. Remember, when you're out there on the road on a motorcycle, you're the smallest thing using the roads. Bicycle people usually be on the side of the road, so they don't have as much issues as we would have. Like, we slightly bigger than them, but we getting to use the full width of a lane or whatever. So yeah, I would say practice those things. And if we can talk about the actual ride home, fam, you know what? Chat you later. I can talk about that in another video, fam. I can just let this one ride, let this one roll. If you guys are interested in the next video, let me know. But for now, boy Flink, see you later, man. Peace.